welcome to our deep dive today.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about something that might surprise you.
Okay.
The changing world of sales and how, everybody is kind of in sales now.
Interesting.
So we're going to be looking at excerpts from this book, To Sell is Human, by Daniel Pink.
Okay.
And also this global survey about, how people spend their time at work. And get this.
Okay.
You probably spend 40% of your time moving others.
Wow.
Even if you don't have, salesperson on your business card.
I can see that.
So are you ready to, discover your inner salesperson?
Let's do it. I think what's interesting here is we often think of sales as a very specific picture.
Right.
Almost an outdated image. Someone in a cheesy suit pushing some product.
Totally.
But the reality is way more nuanced and honestly more fascinating.
It's so true. You think about those door-to-door salespeople, they're those cheesy infomercials.
Right.
With that super enthusiastic guy. But sales has changed, in a big way.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere in our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And Daniel Pink, in his book, To Sell is Human,
Yeah.
he starts off by talking about this idea that salespeople are a dying breed
Right.
in the digital age. We've all seen companies, like Encyclopedia Britannica or Avon struggle as technology just changes everything.
Sort of.
And it's easy to think, oh, salespeople are going extinct.
Yeah.
But that's not the whole story.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I was so surprised by the stats he brings up from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Okay.
1 in 9 American workers are still in traditional sales roles.
Wow.
And that number's pretty consistent around the world.
Interesting.
It made me stop and think, wait, I probably talk to a bunch of salespeople every day and I don't even know it.
Totally. And the crazy thing is, they say that the sales sector is going to add almost 2 million new jobs
Really?
by 2020.
Wow.
So it's less about the death of a salesperson and more like a rebirth.
I see.
The way we sell and the stuff we sell is changing.
Right.
But that core skill of moving others to take action. Yeah.
It's more important now than ever.
Okay, so I'm starting to get what you mean.
Yeah.
So then Pink introduces this concept of non-sales selling.
Yeah.
Which is basically the idea that we're all spending a ton of time persuading, influencing, convincing other people. And it's not always about buying something.
Right. Think about it. You've probably spent a big chunk of today selling an idea to your coworkers.
Right.
Or negotiating a deadline.
Yeah.
Or even convincing your family to watch a certain movie.
Absolutely.
We're all movers in a way, trying to get people on board with our ideas, our actions.
So it's not just people with sales in their job title.
Exactly.
It's those everyday talks where we're trying to get someone to do something or see things our way.
Exactly. And the global survey that we're looking at, it really brings this to life.
Okay.
People in all sorts of jobs said they spend about 40% of their work time on these moving others activities.
Wow. 40%?
What I find really interesting.
Yeah. They also found that people rated these moving others skills as crucial to their success at work.
Yeah.
Even more than things like processing information or managing tasks.
Well,
it makes you realize we might be underestimating how powerful persuasion is in our lives.
I think you're right. I've definitely been guilty of that. But why is everyone spending so much time moving others?
Yeah.
Why is this shift happening?
So Pink talks about these 3 big forces driving this change. He calls them entrepreneurship, elasticity, and EDM.
EDM.
Yeah, education and healthcare.
Okay, let's break those down. Starting with entrepreneurship. It seems like everyone's starting a side hustle these days.
Right.
The rise of small businesses and the gig economy has definitely put more people in charge of their own work.
Right.
Which means they're also in charge of their own sales.
Exactly. They have to do it all.
Right.
From creating the product to marketing it to selling it. They need to convince investors, partners, customers to buy into their vision.
Pink uses a great example in the book.
Yeah.
A small pickle company called Brooklyn Brine.
Oh, yeah.
The founder, Seamus Jones, started out as a chef.
Okay.
Not a business person.
To
get his pickle business going, he had to learn how to sell.
Yeah.
How to get people excited about his product.
Right.
And his brand.
It's a classic example of how entrepreneurship makes people develop these moving others skills.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't plan on it.
Totally. And this isn't just happening in startups either.
Right.
Even big established companies are realizing the need for what Pink calls elasticity.
Yeah.
Elasticity meaning.
So it's the idea that employees need skills that go beyond like the traditional boundaries of their roles.
Okay.
Companies need people who can adapt,
Right.
wear multiple hats,
Yeah.
do a bit of everything.
So it's not enough to just stay in your lane
Exactly.
and just focus on your one specific task.
Right.
It's about being able to jump in and contribute in different ways.
And a lot of this doing a bit of everything involves moving others. Pink talks about this company, Palantir.
Okay.
It's a software company that uses forward deployed engineers.
I've heard of them.
They're like super technical, but they're also tasked with understanding customer needs, anticipating potential problems,
Right.
and basically selling the value of their solutions.
Plus they're like problem-solving salespeople.
Exactly.
Interesting.
They blend technical expertise
Yeah.
with persuasion skills.
I see.
And this brings us to that third force, idiom. Education and healthcare are the fastest growing sectors in the U.S.
Wow.
and globally.
That's true.
And at their core, these fields are all about moving others.
Yeah. When you think about it,
Yeah.
teachers are constantly trying to motivate students to learn
Right.
and see the value in what they're teaching.
Exactly.
And in healthcare, doctors and nurses are persuading patients to follow treatment plans,
Yeah.
make lifestyle changes,
Yeah.
or even just understand their diagnosis.
Pink includes some really powerful stories about this in the book.
Oui.
There's one about a high school teacher who connects with a struggling student
Okay.
by tapping into his passion for football. And another story about a nurse practitioner
Yeah.
who emphasizes the importance of the patient's own expertise
Right.
in their care.
It's fascinating to see how selling, like in the broadest sense,
Yeah.
can apply to so many different professions.
Yeah.
It's not always about like transactions
Right.
or closing deals.
It's about understanding people,
Yeah.
connecting with them,
I
and
thought-
guiding them towards a good outcome.
So even though we might not be like selling products in the traditional way,
Yeah.
we're all doing these acts of persuasion and influence every day.
Every day.
We're all salespeople now,
Whether we realize it or not.
whether we realize it or not. But if those old sales tactics aren't working as well anymore,
Yeah.
what does it take to be a successful mover in this new landscape?
That's a great question. And that's what Pink addresses with his new ABCs of selling. Attunement, buoyancy, and clarity.
Ooh, sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
I'm ready to learn more about these new ABCs.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're diving into the new ABCs of selling attunement. This first up.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about this one
Okay.
because it feels less about tactics and more about like a mindset shift. How do we even become more attuned to others,
Yeah.
especially in a world that feels so like me-focused?
It's a good question. Attunement is all about like really understanding and connecting with other people's perspectives. It's
Right.
about getting out of your own head
Yeah,
and seeing the world through their eyes.
totally.
And, in this new world of selling where persuasion is key,
Yeah.
that ability to tune into someone else's needs and motivations,
Right.
it's so important.
It's like that saying, right?
Yeah.
Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Exactly.
You can't really move someone if you're not even speaking the same language.
You're so right.
Metaphorically speaking, of course.
You hit the nail on the head. And Pink lays out these 3 key rules for getting better at attunement.
Okay. First, increase your power by reducing it.
Wait, what?
Second, perspective taking is more important than perspective giving.
Okay.
And third, assume that people are more alike than different.
Okay, let's break those down.
Okay.
The first one, increase your power by reducing it.
Yeah,
That sounds kind of backwards.
it does.
How
Right.
does that even work?
So it's about shifting your mindset from like control to collaboration.
Okay.
Instead of trying to force your agenda on others,
All right.
you focus on building like rapport and trust.
Oh, okay.
You listen more than you talk,
Mm-hmm.
ask questions to really get their point of view,
Yeah.
and show that you understand their challenges.
It seems like less about selling in that like pushy way
Yeah,
and more about building a genuine connection
right.
and working together towards a common goal.
You got it. And that leads us to the second rule.
Okay.
Perspective taking is more important than perspective giving.
Right.
It's not enough to just share your own viewpoint.
Yeah. You have to really try to understand where the other person is coming from.
That reminds me of that old sales advice.
What's that?
Find the pain point.
Right.
But it sounds like attunement takes it a step further.
Yeah.
It's not just about finding their problem.
Right.
It's about understanding how they feel about it,
Mm-hmm.
what's driving them to fix it,
Yeah.
and what their ideal solution looks like.
You nailed it. Pink actually highlights some really cool research
Oh, yeah.
about how powerful perspective taking is.
Okay.
Studies have shown that people who are good at seeing things from other people's perspectives
Yeah.
are not only more successful in negotiations and sales,
Really?
but they're also seen as more likable
Oh,
and trustworthy.
well, that makes sense.
Right.
When you feel like someone really gets you,
Yeah.
you're more likely to trust them
Exactly.
and be open to their ideas.
Totally. And that third rule,
Yeah.
assume that people are more alike than different.
Right.
It seems obvious.
Yeah.
We forget it all the time.
Yeah, totally. We get caught up in our differences,
Right.
and that creates like a separation.
It's like that us versus them thing.
Yeah.
Which totally doesn't help when you're trying to connect with someone.
So Pink's saying we need to find that common ground.
Exactly. We're all human beings.
Right.
With similar desires and motivations at the end of the day.
Okay, so those are the 3 rules.
Yeah.
But what about the how-to?
Yeah.
Like, are there specific things we can do
Yeah.
to actually become more attuned to others?
Absolutely. Active listening is huge. It's not just about hearing the words someone is saying,
Right.
but paying attention to their tone of voice, their body language,
Yeah.
what might be going on beneath the surface.
It's about listening with, like, your whole self,
Exactly.
not just your ears.
Right.
What else?
Asking good questions is key, too.
Okay.
Open-ended questions
Yeah.
that encourage people to share their thoughts and feelings
Gotcha.
instead of just giving one-word answers.
So, like, what's your biggest challenge right now?
Yeah, perfect.
Or what would your ideal solution look like?
Exactly. And Pink also talks about mimicry
Mimicry.
as a way to build rapport.
Okay.
Not in a creepy way,
Right.
but by subtly mirroring someone's body language,
Yeah.
or their tone of voice, even their words.
It's like you're speaking their language,
Exactly.
literally and figuratively.
You got it.
Okay.
And you know what else can be surprisingly powerful?
What's that?
Silence.
Silence.
Just pausing
Yeah.
to really take in what someone's saying,
Right.
giving them space to fully express themselves.
Yeah.
It can make a big difference.
I feel that as someone who loves to talk, that one's hard for me,
I hear you.
but it makes sense. Sometimes the best way to move someone
Yeah.
is to just stop and listen.
So basically, attunement is about cultivating empathy, understanding a real connection.
Total.
It's about seeing the world through someone else's eyes
Right.
and using that understanding to build relationships,
Mm.
earn trust,
Yeah.
and move people in a way that benefits everyone.
It really feels like attunement is becoming like a superpower in this new world of selling,
It is.
where persuasion is less about manipulation
Yeah,
and more about genuine human connection.
so true. Okay, on to the next superpower. Let's talk about buoyancy.
Buoyancy.
This is where we get into the emotional side of selling.
Right.
I mean, trying to move others can be tough.
For sure.
You're going to face rejection setbacks,
Yeah.
times where you just want to give up.
Totally. That's
Right?
why buoyancy is so important.
It is. It's about staying afloat
Yeah.
in what Pink calls the ocean of rejection.
I love that.
It's about having that resilience,
Right.
optimism, that bounce back ability.
Because it's not just about being positive all the time.
Yeah.
It's about having that mental and emotional toughness
Exactly.
to keep going even when things get rough.
Pink breaks buoyancy down into 3 parts:
Okay?
before, during, and after.
Okay.
And he's got some really practical advice for each stage.
All right, let's start with before. What can we do to prep for those tough moments?
So one of the most important things is to reframe rejection.
Yep.
Instead of seeing it as like a personal failure,
Right.
try to see it as a chance to learn and grow.
Okay.
Pink suggests asking yourself,
Yeah.
what can I learn from this so I can do better next time?
So instead of letting rejection crush you,
Right.
you use it to improve your approach.
Exactly. Another key strategy
Yeah.
is to focus on your small wins.
Your small wins.
Yeah, celebrate those little victories along the way.
Like what?
Like getting a positive response from a client.
Okay.
Or making progress on a tough task.
Right.
These little wins can really boost your confidence
Yeah.
and keep you motivated.
It's so easy to get caught up in the big picture
Right.
and forget to acknowledge those small steps forward.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to try to be more aware of that.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
What else can we do in this before stage?
Don't underestimate the power of visualization.
Visualization.
Yeah, before you go into a situation where you'll be trying to move others,
Uh-huh.
take a minute to picture yourself succeeding. See yourself confidently presenting your ideas,
Yeah.
connecting with your audience,
Right.
achieving your goal.
It's like how athletes visualize their performance
Exactly.
before a big game.
And research actually shows that visualization can improve performance.
Really?
Yeah, it activates the same parts of your brain
Wow.
as actually doing the activity, like mental practice.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our pregame routine down. What about when we're in the thick of it?
Yeah.
Any tips for staying buoyant during those tough talks?
One technique that helps
Yeah.
is to focus on interrogative self-talk.
Interrogative self-talk.
Yeah, instead of declarative self-talk.
Okay, so what's the difference?
So instead of saying, I'm going to nail this presentation,
Right.
you could ask yourself, how can I make this presentation even better?
So it's about shifting from statements to questions.
Exactly.
What's the benefit of that?
Well, studies have shown that asking yourself questions can actually reduce anxiety
And
and improve your performance.
interesting.
It makes you think critically,
Really?
come up with solutions, and stay focused on what you're doing.
It's like turning your inner critic
Yeah,
into an inner coach.
I love that.
Yeah.
And don't forget about your body language.
Oh, right.
Paying attention to your posture can make a huge difference.
Okay.
Stand tall,
Yeah.
make eye contact, smile even if you don't feel like it.
It's amazing how much our physical state
I know, right?
can affect how we feel mentally and emotionally.
Totally. And you know, a little humor can go a long way too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Don't be afraid to use humor to like break the tension or
Yeah.
lighten the mood.
Yeah.
A well-placed joke
Yeah.
or a self-deprecating comment can help make everyone feel more relaxed and open.
Finding those moments of levity
Yeah,
can keep things from getting too serious.
absolutely. Okay, so we've covered before and during.
But what about after a tough interaction?
Yeah. How do we bounce back from rejection and keep that buoyancy going?
One thing Pink suggests is practicing explanatory style.
Explanatory style.
Yeah, so when things don't go your way, ask yourself, is this just a temporary setback or is it permanent?
Okay.
Is it just this one situation or is it a bigger pattern?
Right.
And is this happening because of something I did or are there outside factors at play?
So it's about looking at the situation objectively
Exactly.
and avoiding those negative thought spirals.
Yes. It's so easy to get sucked into those.
Totally. They can really bring you down.
Pink also suggests creating a rejection file.
A rejection file.
Yeah. Keep track of all those times you've been told no,
Okay.
and then go back and look at them.
And see what you learned
Thanks.
and how you've grown.
You turn those rejections into valuable lessons.
I love that. And sometimes the best thing to do after a setback
Yeah.
is to just move on.
You got it.
Don't dwell on it. Don't overthink it.
Right. Just pick yourself up and focus on the next opportunity.
Short-term memory for rejection, long-term vision for success.
I like that.
All of these strategies for before, during, and after
Yeah.
help you build that buoyancy,
Right.
the resilience, the optimism, the
Yeah.
ability to bounce back from challenges.
What's so important for navigating all the ups and downs?
It
Or
is.
trying to move others.
It's about having that unshakable belief in yourself
Yeah.
and your ability to achieve your goals even when you face setbacks.
So we've talked about attunement and buoyancy.
Right.
Let's unpack the final piece.
Yes.
Clarity.
Clarity.
I think in a world overflowing with information,
I know, right?
the ability to provide clarity is more valuable than ever.
You are so right. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. Stay tuned to discover how to cut through the noise and make your message truly resonate.
Okay, so we're back, and we're finally going to tackle the last part of Daniel Pink's new ABCs of selling clarity.
Clarity.
This one really speaks to me. Because, I mean, we are just bombarded with information these days. It's like information overload everywhere you turn.
Totally.
So how do we cut through all the noise and help others see things more clearly?
It is a crucial skill these days.
Yeah.
You're right. And Pink says clarity is about more than just communicating clearly.
Okay.
It's about helping people see the world in a new way,
Uh-huh.
illuminating the path forward,
Right.
making sense of all the complexity.
So it's like giving them a map
Yeah.
to navigate all that information overload.
Exactly. It's like a mental map.
Yeah, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that?
Okay.
Where do we even begin?
Pink suggests that one of the most important parts of clarity
Yeah.
is problem finding.
Problem finding.
Yeah. So traditionally, salespeople were seen as problem solvers.
Right.
But now,
Yeah.
with so much information available,
Right.
the real skill is uncovering the problems that people don't even realize they have.
So it's less about having all the answers
Yeah.
and more about asking the right questions.
Exactly.
Now the real needs.
You have to become kind of like a detective,
Okay.
uncovering those hidden challenges and then presenting solutions
Right.
that people didn't even know they were looking for.
That's such an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's not about pushing products or services.
Right.
It's about being like a trusted advisor
Yeah.
who helps people identify and solve those problems that are holding them back.
Pink actually compares this to the role of a curator.
A curator.
Yeah.
Like at a museum.
Exactly. A good curator doesn't just randomly throw a bunch of stuff together.
Right.
They carefully choose and arrange those objects
Yeah.
to tell a story
What?
or evoke a certain feeling
Right.
or offer like a new perspective.
So someone who's good at providing clarity
Yeah,
acts like a curator of information.
exactly. They highlight the most important points
Right.
and present them in a way that connects with their audience.
You wouldn't want to just overwhelm someone
Right.
with a jumbled mess of information.
Yeah.
It's about distilling it down
Yeah.
and framing it in a way that makes sense.
Exactly. And Pink gives us these 5 frames.
5 frames.
Yeah, that can really help with providing clarity.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
He calls them the less frame,
Okay.
the experience frame,
Uh-huh.
the label frame,
Okay.
the blemished frame,
Glamorous frame.
and the potential frame.
Okay, those sound interesting. Yeah. Let's break them down. Starting with the less frame.
Okay, so think about how often you feel stuck
Yeah.
when you have too many choices.
Oh, all the time.
Right, we're surrounded by choices.
Totally.
And it can be totally overwhelming.
I know.
The less frame is about simplifying by curating a smaller set of options. You can actually help people make decisions
Right.
more easily and confidently.
It's like that study with the jam,
Oh, yeah.
where people were more likely to buy
Yeah.
when they had fewer choices.
Exactly.
Oh.
Too much choice
Right.
can be a bad thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the experience frame?
The experience frame is all about shifting the focus
Yeah.
from just listing features and benefits
Right.
to the actual experience.
It's a feeling.
Yes. You help people visualize how it will make them feel,
Okay.
how it will improve their lives.
So it's about connecting on an emotional level,
Exactly.
which is way more powerful
Yeah.
than just throwing facts and figures at them.
Okay, on to the label frame.
Label frame.
This is all about finding the right words
Okay.
to really capture your message.
So like a tagline.
Yeah, think of it like naming a baby.
Okay.
A good name can sum up their personality
Right.
and make them more memorable.
It's about finding that perfect phrase
Exactly.
that sticks in people's minds.
Yeah.
And helps them understand what you're all about.
Now for the blemished frame.
The blemished frame.
This one might sound a little weird,
Okay.
but sometimes highlighting a small flaw,
A flaw.
yeah, can actually make your message more believable.
Really?
Yeah, more
Good.
trustworthy.
How does that work?
It's like you're being upfront and honest about
Right.
the limitations.
It's like that old sales trick
Yeah,
where you point out a tiny flaw
exactly.
before the customer does.
It makes you seem more genuine.
Right, because nobody's perfect.
Exactly. And finally,
Yeah.
the potential frame.
Potentials.
This one's all about focusing on what could be
Okay.
instead of dwelling on the past
Yeah.
or current limitations.
You're painting a picture of a better future.
Exactly. One that people can get excited about.
So it's about inspiring them with a vision
Yes.
of what's possible.
And that can be super motivating.
Totally. So to sum it up,
Yeah.
clarity isn't just about being clear.
It's more than that.
It's about using these frames
Right.
to help people see things differently,
Uh-huh.
understand complex stuff,
Yeah.
and make good decisions.
It's about being a guide.
A curator of
I
information.
like that. So as we wrap up our deep dive into To Sell is Human,
Yeah,
what's the big takeaway for our listeners today? Selling has changed.
it really has.
It's not about those pushy tactics anymore
Right.
or tricking people into buying things they don't need.
It's about something much deeper.
It's about understanding people,
Yeah.
connecting with them authentically,
Mm.
and using persuasion to create good outcomes for everyone. It's about realizing we're all in sales now,
We are.
in some way, shape, or form,
Whether we know it or not.
whether we know it or not. And by mastering these new ABCs,
Yeah.
attunement, buoyancy,
Yes.
and clarity,
We can all become more effective movers.
achieving our goals
Absolutely.
and making a real difference in the world.
I'd leave you with this thought.
Okay.
How can you use these principles of moving others
Yeah.
to make a difference in your own life?
It's a great question.
Whether it's at work, at
Yeah.
home, or in your community,
Yeah.
we all have the power to move others.
In a positive direction.
Exactly.
And if you want to explore these ideas even further,
Definitely check out To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink.
great book.
It's packed with insightful research, engaging stories,
Yeah.
and practical advice.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing.
Yes.
And keep moving others in a way that makes the world a little bit better.
See ya.